We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Eagle unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Fans are growing anxious and concerned for Terence Bud Crawford. I know the Canelo payday, I know that. I know the fight hasn't been officially announced as of me recording this video, but Terence Crawford released a clip of him back in the gym and back in the States because he's been doing some traveling and whatnot. And fans have watched it. I've posted it on my other social medias, and people are concerned with Bud being victorious in this particular fight. Not everybody, but in this video, that's what I want to talk about. Let's get unpacked. Now, make no mistake about it. I've been indifferent from the beginning. I don't like the fight. I've been very clear on my channel. And it's so funny because people don't understand the concept of YouTube, or as they say it in England, YouTube, right? The concept of YouTube is you. You are the creator. You are the star. You get to make the content. So I've earned my spot. People come to hear the king of boxing talk speak, right? If you don't want to hear me speak on YouTube, then scram, go somewhere else. But it's funny because people try to change the messaging. I'm telling you what I like on my channel. It's so funny that people try to dictate what I make videos about. They try to dictate what I post about. Why'd you post this? I posted Terence Crawford training, which we'll get into. I will show you in this video. Stay tuned. And I asked the fans to rate his speed. And some people were like, oh, it's not a speed test. He's not working on speed. I don't give a I told you guys to rate the speed. Period. You can participate. You don't have to participate. But all this complaining about what I post, you don't have to watch. Let's just be real. Me saying I don't like the fight, sue me. I don't. Never have, and it's not going to change. For one, Crawford will be 38 in September. So he's pushing it in terms of age. Canelo, in my opinion, for the last several years, has been looking, I don't want to say washed up, but definitely not as formidable as the 2017 Canelo that fought Triple G, or the one that unified with Danny Jacobs. He just don't look the same. And he's been slowing down for a minute. Plus, he seems real, family man and family oriented, real domesticated. He's golfing all the time. I don't really like that. So that's on the Canelo side. And on top of that, Canelo don't want to fight my boy David Benavidez. That's what I want to see. I never wanted to see the Terence Crawford fight like that. We want Canelo to fight David Benavidez in the Machine Gun Funk, but he refuses to. He keeps coming up with mad excuses why he don't deserve it, or he said a mean thing to me, or I don't want to fight a Mexican, or his resume is not good enough. But then you could keep fighting welterweights. You could keep fighting junior welterweights and junior middleweights or whatever. It makes no sense. And the Canelo fans are pathetic because they just allow it and act like what I'm saying, I'm speaking a foreign language. So I've been on record, stated my opinion. Seeing this clip does not change my mind, not one bit. right? And I'm going to let you guys look for yourself, and I'll shut up. I don't know. What y'all thinking? What are y'all thinking? So Crawford, he's been traveling. He was in Australia. I don't know where else. He went to Keyshawn's fight. He's been moving around a bit, right? Now he back in the gym, getting some work in. The Canelo fight, as of me recording the video, hasn't been publicly confirmed and announced, like date, ticket sales, all that. But here we are. So what's wrong with this clip? I mean, some of y'all might be like, oh, he looked amazing. For me, let's start with the shape of Crawford. Crawford looks like he definitely put on size, but for me, here's the thing with size. I've always said this, and in my honest opinion, when we're talking about size, moving up in weight is a process. Guys like Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, De La Hoya, they all did it. No biggie, no problem. But it's a gradual process. Like you move up, like Floyd moved up and fought DeMarcus Corley. That was his first fight. Very good fight, very challenging fight for a first fight in a new weight class. And if you could recall, Floyd got buzzed a little bit hurt in that fight with DeMarcus Corley. So you move up properly. Bud is moving up and fighting arguably the number one person at 168 pounds since David Benavidez and David Morrell left the division. So Canelo is probably the best guy there right now, and he has all the belts. So for me, I really don't like that. You know, it's a shot in the dark. And when I'm looking at Canelo and I'm looking at Crawford, it's not the same, because here's the thing with moving up in weight. Crawford is probably eating more. I heard he don't eat beef. He doesn't eat pork. So I don't know what he eats, but I remember seeing on Rogan, he said he don't eat beef because it had him backed up and he was constipated with boo-boo. It's a true story. That's what he said. And he tried to advise. It was so funny because he tried to advise Joe Rogan about not eating beef. And Joe Rogan, I'm not going to say he's carnivore, but he's kind of close to it. Like, I think he said, I watched, Rogan's show before or whatnot. And Rogan basically said he's basically close to like keto, paleo / carnivore, and he'll occasionally eat vegetables. But I mean, if you follow him on social media, Rogan posts like elk and he's eating bison, like gamey meat and beef and red meat. And he said he has never felt better. So it was just kind of funny because you have Crawford who's trying to convince Rogan not to eat beef, and then beef and like bison and all that is primarily what Rogan eats. So you could tell when Crawford was saying, man, you're probably backed up, you should stop eating beef and stuff, Rogan wasn't buying it. And that's why like diet stuff is very, I don't like when it's like religion. I don't like when people push their diet on you, because everybody's body is different. Certain people, like, they can eat pasta and they need a bunch of carbs. Maybe that's your body type. But then another person eat a bunch of pasta and get fat and bloated. You know what I mean? Or certain person might swear by dairy and say, hey, it's good for me. And other people believe that dairy, produces more mucus and it doesn't respond well. Some people like gluten. Some people have a gluten intolerance. So it was a bit weird that Crawford was trying to school Joe Rogan on diet, because at the end of the day, I just believe you got to do what works for you and your body type, and what you can digest and break down. That's how I look at it. But anyway, Ego Weight Watchers, aka EW, where I give you a look into the fighter lifestyle before, after, and progress pics, especially when they have an upcoming fight. He's supposed to be fighting Canelo in September, but he just looked big. But with being bigger, he looks slower to me. Like Bud has, in 135, 140 especially, I felt like he had really fast hands. And then, some people are going to be like, oh, he's not working on speed in this clip. I mean, I've seen other fast Meldrick Taylor, and he ain't working on speed, or Gary Russell, he ain't working on speed, and he's just naturally fast. So one fear I have for Crawford is bulking up in one big motion, not like acclimating, taking a tune-up fight, which we'll get into in a second, and gradually moving up. You're just doing it in one motion, one move, whoop, and then you're fighting at 68. So I'm very curious to how his body will respond, because to me, he looks a little bit more bogged down, bulky, like his legs look thicker, you know what I mean? So he's putting on weight for sure. The other thing with weight that is a bit concerning to me is the fact that you have to do all this extra jazz to maintain this weight. Like, I know plenty of fighters personally that they had to move up for a fight or whatever, and a lot of them said they don't like it. Like, even, let's say, Alexander Usyk. I watched an interview with Alexander Usyk. He was talking about moving back down, even though he's been undisputed twice now, and he beat Tyson Fury. This was after the Tyson Fury fight, and he became undisputed. He was talking about going back down to cruiserweight, because he says he has to eat a lot, like meat and steak, and he has to stuff his face to maintain 230 or whatever he's been weighing in at to be a heavyweight. And it's a bit probably unnatural for his body. Whereas like 190 to 208 might be a sweet spot. But to test himself, he's been bulking up to fight the Tyson Furies, because you don't want to fight big old Tyson Fury, 6'9", and you weigh 198 and he leans on you and all that type of stuff. That could be nasty. So that's basically what it is I know a lot of fighters who they have to do a lot to maintain the higher weights when that's not really your weight, right? Probably Andre Ward, when he fought and moved up in weight in the Olympics to get the gold medal, he probably had to eat more and whatnot to maintain it. Or when he first moved up from 68 to 175, he probably had to change his diet all up, because his body was used to doing a bigger cut and more natural and comfy at 168. So with Terence Crawford, yeah, you've added bulk. His legs look big, pause. He looks bigger, but you're doing all this just to get where Canelo has comfortably been for the last 8 years. Canelo fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. at 164.5, moving from 154 straight to 164.5. So basically, his last fight, Canelo, at 154 was Liam Smith, right? And ever since that, he has never went under 160, because he fought Chavez Jr. at 164.5. Then he fought like probably Jacobs, 160, did a couple of fights at 60, did the Kovalev fight after the Jacobs fight at 75, dropped back down to 60. So he's been in that 160 to 175 range for the better part of a decade, about a decade. Crawford is just now doing this probably for the last year when this became a reality, because Crawford was telling you that it was a pipe dream. He was doing interviews saying he can't move past 154, and people don't know boxing to think he can fight Canelo. So money talks or whatever, Turkey, and I guess he said Bill Haney gassed him up, and now he considers this a reality. So the reality of it is Bud hasn't been bulking up for that long, like probably a year, because that's about the time where this fight seemed like it could get financed and become a reality. So for me, how do you move with that weight? And here's the thing is, like, what if you can't hurt Canelo? That's why I don't like this fight. What if you can't hurt Canelo? I think Bud can have moments. He can win rounds. He's a terrific fighter, great fighter. But if he can't hurt Canelo in the first 5-6 rounds and or like really get Canelo's respect, I don't see what you're going to do late in the fight, because you fought Madrimov and you were able to like dog it out and like kind of turn up late in the fight and win the fight. But against a bigger man, like, who knows? You have muscles that require oxygen. You've bulked up. I know guys that have moved up in weight and they felt good for first 3-4 rounds. They like, oh, this is it. You know what I mean? And they just feeling like, oh, this was, y'all hype these move ups. And then when you start getting punched on and you start getting tired and then them arms start feeling heavy, it's just a different thing when you just jumped up all these weight classes. And when I know Crawford's a different fighter than Jermell Charlo, I know this, but Jermell Charlo is a more decorated 154 pounder. He did more, had more fights, and arguably has more power at 54 than Crawford, right? Because we've seen more fights from him, and we know that Jermell Charlo's power was the real deal at 54. Crawford, as of me recording the video, had one fight at 154 and he couldn't produce a stoppage. Jermell Charlo produced a stoppage in his first title fight. I was there against John Jackson, right? He got it in the rematches with Harrison and Brian Castano. So we know at least Jermell Charlo is a very good fighter, very good jab, and talented with more experience and a way better resume in general, but definitely at 54 because he has more fights and he was undisputed. He went up to fight Canelo and he couldn't do anything. And Canelo liked to punch on your arms, and he just knows how to break you down. So, I mean, the more, I guess I got to wait to see how this fight, like the promo develops. But what I felt from the beginning, I think is probably where I'm headed for the prediction, unless I see something that really makes me change, because I can't say that Canelo did not look good versus Skull, but at the same time, in big fights, I don't like to judge a person on their worst moments. I would like to think that a fighter, knowing the impact and knowing the high stakes of the bout, will pull out all the stops and have the best camp that they can have, right? So I can't really go into this fight expecting the worst version of Canelo Alvarez. Plus, in the Skull fight, he knew he had 100 million or whatever he's getting to fight Crawford just hanging in the background. All he had to do was get past Skull, get that last belt, and it was up. So, truth be told, Canelo might not have cared too much. Like, this dude is running and moving too much and fighting negative. The judges won't give him the rounds over me and reward him. So who cares? I'm not chasing this dude all around. I don't know. I'm not Canelo, but I'm just saying that's very plausible. I mean, look at it. If you knew all you had to do is beat this guy and you weren't going to lose on the scorecards, are you going to put yourself in harm's way and take mad risk against a bigger, younger, Cuban fighter that's moving a lot? Probably not. You know what I mean? So we could have very well seen a bad performance from Canelo for that reason, because he had the Crawford fight on deck. He just had to not fumble like Ryan did with Rolly, and then it would have been right there. So I have bad juju and bad vibes about this fight. I've said that from the beginning. The way it's been handled, the lack of transparency. Oh, Dana White's promoting. No, he's not. Oh, he's back on. The date switching, all of that. It just, I don't know. I have bad vibes about this fight. And I know it's a brief clip, but seeing this clip of Terence Crawford doesn't really change my mind, because he looks kind of slower than before. Again, it's early. Maybe he just started camp, whatever. But he looks like he added weight, and I want to see how he carries that weight versus a guy like Canelo, who also has shown a granite chin in boxing. So I think this could be a disappointing fight where if Bud gets in there and realizes that Canelo is real and the hype is real and you're no different than Jermell Charlo, you can't hurt him, then it's going to be a very negative fight because Bud is going to have to move, and pretty much run, which is not really a pay-per-view worthy type of fight because people keep comparing Bud to Floyd Mayweather. Totally different fighters, totally different temperaments. It's one of the dumbest comparisons that I've heard. It's like, it reminds me of when Triple G first came about, a guy with power. Hell no, guys, hey, Max. Hell, it's Max, it's Punch, it's guys, right? When Triple G Golovkin first came on the scene, people just naturally said Kazakhstan, power, Mike Tyson. And people were comparing him to Mike Tyson. Gervonta Davis, Pitbull Cruz, they actually fight more like Mike Tyson-esque than Golovkin. That is not Golovkin's bag. So when people were saying Triple G is like the new Mike Tyson and all this type of stuff, that shows me you don't know what you're talking about. And that's very similar to what people do with Crawford. They're like, he's the new Mayweather. No, he's not. He's the new Bud Crawford. Floyd don't get touched up in fights against the people. Like, name a Mean Machine caliber guy that dropped Floyd. I'll wait. You know what I mean? And we know Bud got dropped in that moment. You know what I mean? Madrimov, like Bud's face, like his eye was going away versus Kell Brook. And that was like a faded Kell Brook who probably barely could make the weight. So I'm not really convinced, man. I'm not convinced at all. Bud, again, he's a talented fighter. He's a hell of a fighter. Maybe he could surprise me, but this fight is not hyping me up. I think he'll really try, but I don't like the jump up, the bulk up. And again, you always hear fighters say, they'll be like, who's better, this guy you fought or this guy? And they'll be like, I ain't fought this person yet, so I can't really rate it. He hasn't fought Canelo yet. So, you know, from the sidelines, it looks like, oh, man, I see holes in his game. But then if these rumors of Canelo really hitting show up, then Bud's going to be in trouble. You know what I mean? If his power, if you're actually feeling it and you're like, man, his hand speed is better than I thought, his chin is better than I thought, it's going to be a long night for Bud Crawford. You know, and there's a lot of people that they just don't know ish about boxing. Bud is like kind of developed his legacy almost like an urban legend. And people are giving all this credit like, oh, man, he's going to stop Canelo. Stop Canelo? I mean, it's possible, but I don't see that. Like, based on what? Why? If you stopping, I think if Bud stops Canelo, then people are going to ask serious questions about, you know, was Canelo washed? You know, what supplements did Snack give him? I don't know. I think if Canelo gets like wasted by Bud Crawford in this fight in September, I would truly think that people are going to ask a lot of questions because I don't really see that being an outcome, which means you probably have to outbox the guy, which I don't know. Is that going to be pay-per-view heat? You know what I mean? And we'll see. I guess we'll see. But nothing about this fight is making me eat my words. You know, where I'm like, the things that I've said from day one, all of a sudden are irrelevant. It's not happening. The fight is being managed poorly, not keeping the fans in the loop, prematurely speaking on dates and all that. But, and here's the other thing is, according to my source, Bud Crawford had an injury. So is he cashing out? He had an injury. So I don't know what kind of injuries Canelo got, but he's the bigger man. So is Bud Crawford no tune-up to acclimate or show you that he could be a champion at 60 or higher or 68, right? Bud should have fought William Skull, not Canelo. And then Bud would be a legit champion, enter the fight as a champion with the IBF belt, and then it would have been for true undisputed. You know what I mean? So Bud coming off a long layoff, right? I ain't fought since August with Madrimov, coming off of an injury, not doing any tune-ups, no fights higher than 154, and you're just putting everything into this. Is really a dice roll. You know, I know Bud like to shoot dice or whatever, but to me, it's just so much of a dice roll, it's hard to really get behind it. They're going to have to show me, point blank period. They're going to have to show me. We unpacked. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new, but even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate, so ultimately you can realize all of your online goals. Use my affiliate link in the description and grow your channel fast.